so much. So first, I just want to thank Creative Mornings San Diego for welcoming me and giving me the opportunity to share my perspective on traditions. You know, when I first thought of traditions and when I saw that that was the theme for this month, I think that what came to mind for me was family, right? This is the spirit, this is the time where we're talking about holidays and visiting family. And I don't know about y'all, but there are some traditions that I think I could do without that I got from my family, right? So traditions to me, and I guess the direction I'd like to take this in, is really a pattern, right? It's defined as something, a custom or belief that is passed down from generation to generation. And again, when thinking about my own family and thinking about the traditions that were shared with me, the custom, the beliefs, the emotional patterns, the communication patterns, the interpersonal relationships, those are the kind of things that that came to mind. And I start to think, okay, well, what if I want to start some new traditions, right? What do I want to pass down to my own family? So who here could do with maybe getting rid of or letting go of some of their own family traditions, patterns, emotional, mental, etc., right? Yes, exactly. So when I started to think about those things, I think I started to try to come up with a plan for myself. I've always been the kind of person who really wants to improve myself and wants to be better than I was the day before. So I think I have a proposal for y'all that really is about coming up with a 3-step plan on how to maybe shift the traditions that you got from your family, emotional, mental, maybe the scars that we have that you can get rid of and that you can really identify and move forward from. The first step would be to identify them. Yay! Obviously, you can't change anything that you don't know you have. And so there's probably 2 camps of people here. One camp that maybe know exactly what those patterns are for them, right? And they're like, yeah, I really want to change the fact that I get anxious every time X happens, or I really want to talk to my partner differently, right? And there's another camp of you who are probably thinking, oh, gosh, what do I have? I mean, I don't know. My family's pretty great. Talk to your loved ones. Your lover, your best friend, and I'm sure they will have no problem telling you maybe some of the patterns you can release. Create a brave space for them, right, so that they can share those with you. So identification is really the first step, right, because obviously you can't change anything that you don't know. The second thing would probably be to then reckon with them. Holidays, again, are a time I think of reckoning, of reflection for a lot of people. So really trying to figure out for yourself, why do you have some of the emotional patterns that maybe you don't like? I have a little bit of anxiety often, and I think that's something that I've been working at with my partner, with people that I'm close to, is really trying to figure out, okay, well, where does that stem from, right? Does it stem from me having a little bit of a lonely childhood? Does it stem from me not feeling safe, right? Really trying to dig in, and those things are not always comfortable. So sinking into the discomfort of the patterns that you don't like is really a part of this process. And again, it's something that you might do with a therapist, right? If you don't know that you want to do it with a partner, it's something you can do on your own by really reflecting, journaling, figuring out these things for yourself, and then having someone to bounce off with is obviously always helpful. And the third step, which I think is the fun one, is creating the new traditions, the new patterns, the new mental the new mental opportunities for yourself, so that you can really have something to pass down to your children, to your family, to your friends, and something that you feel more comfortable with having in your life. Essentially, really having the opportunity to take a look at those patterns and those traditions, like I mentioned, that is or that are no longer serving you, and really letting go of them, I think is the goal of all of us, right? To be better than we were before, and really figuring out and letting go of those patterns that no longer serve us. That's all I got for you. Thank you. Oh, I'm so sorry. I was supposed to introduce Scott.
That's good. Scott's up next. Thank you. Woo! Scott. Clicker. Oh, that's back. Yep, there you go.
Don't start the timer yet, Nate. Audrey Geisel, who was one of the greatest patrons of not just the library, but just about every nonprofit in the city of San Diego, passed away yesterday. So I just want to recognize how important she's been to our entire city and the library in particular. Downstairs, our children's library is named after her. So thank you, Audrey Geisel. Everybody who doesn't know her, she's the widow of Dr. Seuss. Okay, so my name is Scott. I work for the San Diego Public Library Foundation. I manage the library shop, which is a nonprofit book and gift shop downstairs. All the proceeds support the San Diego Public Library. I know there's only 4 days before the retail apocalypse. So I want to make this as easy for you as possible today. So I'm offering you 20% off your entire purchase if you stop by the library shop afterwards. So please do so. Normally, when I'm up here, I'm given 30 seconds. Then someone takes the microphone. That doesn't appear to be happening today, which is unfortunate as I've not prepared any further remarks. I actually spent my entire time preparing the PowerPoint that was supposed to go with my lecture. I designed in Microsoft Paint. So I don't know if we can just wait this out and see when the next person comes up, or if you have any questions, or anybody? Nothing? Yeah. You know what? Screw it. I'm going to wing it. Let's talk about traditions. So let's talk about broken holiday traditions. It may shock or surprise you to know that I am from a broken home. At the age of 10, my parents divorced. I was 10. They were older. This is me at the age of 10. Notice the first casualty in any divorce is fashion sense. This is me at the age of 10. I shortly thereafter inherited a crazy stepfather. Does anyone have a crazy stepfather? Yes, thank you. I feel like you're going to raise your hand every time I ask a question, and I appreciate that. So, crazy stepfather, I inherited a couple holiday traditions with my crazy stepfather. The first of which, let's just, for a little background, this is my mother. There's my crazy mom. Anyway, so 2 holiday traditions he brought with him. First was Christmas lights. Has anyone seen these? You take the lights, you nail them up to the house, you turn them on, plug them in. 1982, my stepfather put up the Christmas lights. In 1991, those same Christmas lights burned out of their own accord. After 9 years, 24/7, day and night, those lights were left on. Did I mention I grew up in the state of Arizona, 110 degrees, middle of the day, those Christmas lights were on. It got so bad that when I would tell people where I lived, describe the house, they would say, yeah, we know that place. That's the one with the Christmas lights. That's my house. Second tradition, Christmas trees. Have you seen these? Put them up in the living room. You have a Christmas tree? Thank you. Artificial Christmas tree. Bleeding edge technology back in 1984 when my stepfather purchased one. Put it up in the living room, decorated, plugged it in. There it is, lights, something about lights, my stepfather. In 1998, 14 years later, that Christmas tree came down. The 14 years between, it was plugged in every morning, unplugged every night by my stepfather. Got so bad that when I invited people over to the house, the first thing they would say is, the Christmas tree is still up. The answer my entire childhood was yes, the Christmas tree is still up. So, speaking of broken traditions, how about the city of San Diego's budget process? This is called The Pivot. This is where I talk about what I want to talk about, not what Creative Mornings is talking about. So, I don't think it's controversial to say that everyone loves the library. What I do for a living, when I tell people, no one has ever said to me, you support the library? That's disgusting. You should be ashamed of yourself. I am just going to go on a limb and say, is there anyone here that does not love a library? So if you don't love libraries, you're raising your hand. If you hate libraries, you're raising your hand. No, you're not going to help me out in this one? Okay, so we have a few haters. That's fine. So I'm just going to say that is one of the core values and beliefs of everyone in this room and most of the city of San Diego, that we have a strong, well-funded library system. Does everyone agree with that? Well then, Creative Mornings San Diego, how do you explain this? This is called the library funding gap. Turns out in the year 2000, the city council approved an ordinance which mandated that 6% of the city's budget be devoted to supporting the library. We have yet to make that target. In fact, we are $30 million short of where we would be if we currently honored the 6% mandate. $30 million. Now, one of two things is happening here. Either your core values and beliefs are not being reflected in the city's budget process, or, and I don't even want to say this here, but I'm going to have to, or everyone in this room who said you love libraries is a dirty, rotten, lying hypocrite. Creative Mornings San Diego, you cannot buy my silence with a free donut. Wait, that didn't work. Hold on. You cannot buy my silence with a free donut. I will. Don't worry, I work here. I'm good. Don't try this at home. So I don't want to believe that's true, but let's just pretend it is. Let's pretend we're all hypocrites. Devil's advocate. Hey, Scott, maybe I'd love the library more if you ever had the darn book I wanted to read, right? I'm 57th on the hold list for the book. Well, straw man argument, I'm glad you brought that up. Because did you know that the city of San Diego has one of the lowest library material budgets of any major library system in the entire United States? In the state of California, San Diego is dead last. America's finest city, last place. Creative Mornings San Diego. San Francisco, $15. I'm not saying we have to be San Francisco. I'm not crazy. I have realistic expectations. But don't you think we could do better than Sacramento? $3.23 per capita for library materials in Sacramento. Now, I get it. There's nothing to do in Sacramento but go to the library. But even so, I think we can do better. So did you know that it only takes 3 phone calls to your city council person? Only 3 phone calls about a certain issue to move it up the queue. Unless that phone call's about UFOs, then they ignore you. Last year, with just a few dozen advocates, the foundation was able to get an extra $100,000 for the library's programming budget. We were able to fight off cuts. We were able to get new funding for library security. Now, what could we do if we had 300 people together? So we could do a lot. So I'm asking us to start a new tradition today. And that tradition is that we make sure that our core values and beliefs are reflected in our city's fiscal decisions. Next year, there's going to be 2 public budget meetings. I'm asking all of us to just get together. We can write our council people, talk to our council people, go to those meetings, and we can make a difference. We can make San Diego every bit as good as Sacramento. So just email me if you're interested in fighting with us. Scott@supportmylibrary.org. I'll be down in the gift shop afterward. Come visit. We can talk about what we can do. I don't want your money unless somebody's got $30 million. I want your passion, your creativity, and your energy to solve this issue. So thank you for letting me pivot. Kayla, you ready to roll?
Pick up your donut.
Thanks. No, I got it.
Good morning, everyone. I don't know if I can beat that one, but I'll try. I have my note cards here because I tend to go off on tangents, so I definitely don't want to be up here for another hour. So my name is Kahila Hidayatsadeh. Yes, I have the longest last name probably in this room. I am a psychotherapist turned empowerment and transformational coach. It's my first time here at Creative Mornings, and it's my first time talking, so I'm honored to be here, and I really do appreciate the opportunity. My talk is going to be a little bit different about traditions, just because I want to start with a little bit of background and story about myself, and because I think it's through stories that us human beings connect on a deeper level. But I really want to trigger some thoughts within you. I'm hoping that this talk will be something that will empower you to change if that's what needs to happen in your life. So as a powerful woman who was raised with multicultural traditions, I understand a thing or two about the need of developing your own traditions. and really defining life based on what you believe. And I was born and raised in Iran. And if you know Iranians or Persians, as most of us introduce ourselves as, we have really old school traditions. And a lot of them are great, and a lot of them are not so great. And I moved to the States at the tender age of 13. And so I had to get used to the new traditions of the United States and the societal norms that was here. So I quickly realized, wait a minute, I need to figure out what fits for me and what doesn't fit for me. And I started, being a stubborn person, I decided that, you know what, I'm gonna start living life based on my own values and not what the Persian culture tells me, not what my parents have told me, and not what California tells you, because I know California has its own personality. But it wasn't easy. It was definitely something that, I had to stand against and really put my foot down and just say, you know what, this is my life. So as I was thinking about traditions, these are some of the things that came up for me. And this is what I was thinking. So I was thinking, who am I without the societal norms that not only being a woman, but being a Persian American woman? Who am I if I am not my traditions? Who am I if I'm not defined by being Persian or by being American? Who am I if I started a tradition of divorce in my entire family? I'm talking about generations and generations. Who am I if, I stand up to societal norms and tell them to go kick rocks? Who am I if, I listen to my grandma telling me, why are you always wearing pants? Why are you jumping on top of things? Why are you running around everywhere like a boy? Sit down and be a lady. No. Who am I if I define the greatest loss in my life as the greatest life lesson in my life? Who am I if I am not a therapist? Who am I without those initials after my name, after paying thousands and thousands of dollars for it? Who am I if I don't follow my heart? And who am I if I let fear define me? And to me, all of those thoughts represent traditions, because what traditions are old stories. They're old system of beliefs. They're old, really fears that are told to us by the people who love us the most. But we just live it because we almost feel obligated to live them. And, then I was wondering that I wonder if anything that is standing in your way, I wonder if there's any fears within you that is kind of holding you back from defining what your values are and how you're going to define traditions for yourself. Because the reality is we're going to be defined by other people anyway. We're going to be judged by other people anyway, whether that's family, friends, whoever it is. That's the reality of life. So why not start defining who we are for ourselves and tell those people that this is who I am, that's what I'm going to live. And, if you think about it, a lot of us don't allow ourselves to stand in our own power. And I want to encourage you during this holiday season, stand in your own power. And you can do that by really focusing on letting go of some of the inner dialogue that we have. And that usually goes, along with shame and guilt and the what ifs. And especially us ladies in here, we really feel the shame and guilt prominently in our daily life. I don't know if gentlemen feel it as much as we do. But, and that conversation really goes like, what if I don't want to go to that person's house for holidays? What if I want to create my own tradition? What if this and what if that? And so we continue to ask these questions, but what we're not realizing is that we are putting everyone else's needs before our own needs. And I want you to recognize that if you don't put your own needs first, you're not going to be happy. You're not going to live a life that really defines who you are. So I want to encourage you to stand in your own power and really discover what traditions are for you. It's not scary, trust me. I've been living it, and it is what it is, and I love the life I've created based on who I am. And, yes, a lot of the Persian culture, for example, when I got a divorce, my dad didn't know that I went to the courthouse and filed for divorce, and I told him afterwards, and he about had a heart attack, but it was like, whatever, it's my life. You don't get to define it for me. So really at the end, I want you to really think that traditions create your story, but I wonder if it's still your story, or if you want to define and rewrite a new story for yourself. Thank you, guys. Abe, come on up.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. My name's Abe Camacho, and thank you to Creative Mornings for this, putting this on and trusting us to be up here, and for you guys for being here. I'm honored to be here and just share this few minutes, my heart with you. We have a tradition in my family, my wife and I have two daughters, baby Lux and baby Tiger. One's 2 and one is like 2 months old. And we have a tradition that every year at the end of the year, come around the beginning of December, we sit down and we take out our iPhones and we write down our New Year's resolutions. We take the whole month to plan the whole year. And I was looking back at last year's resolutions, and I was not that impressed with the goals that I set for myself. It was mostly places that I wanted to visit, people I wanted to connect with and meet, but more than anything, it was new restaurants and food that I wanted to try. And that was my resolution for the year. At the end of the day, it was just a bunch of goals that I wanted to achieve. And what I realized is that the time that I spent writing down these New Year's resolutions, I had built this tradition to set a time apart at the end of the year to come up with a plan that would allow me to build my future, but it was solely based upon the fact that I was going to place my faith for the rest of the year upon myself, my abilities, my capacity, my wisdom, my knowledge. And, now looking back a year ago, I look at myself in the mirror and ask myself this question, and how's that philosophy working out for you? Putting all this trust and faith solely upon yourselves instead of relying in a community. You see, the truth about us is that sometimes we ask ourselves the question, how did I get here? How did my life end up what it is today? And I ask myself the question, who do I blame for my reality? Like, who do I blame for looking like this? Knowing that there's a free gym in my building. That place is haunted. There's voices, come use me, The truth is that I'm responsible. And we ask ourselves this question, who is responsible for my reality? As if our reality today was this illusion or elusive reality, that this was this mystical force, that our reality was simply built because of fate, when in reality we have more power over our reality today than we think, because your reality today is simply a result of the decisions you made yesterday. And I can't speak about the future. I don't know what the future holds, but this is what I know. That the future, and your future, is impacted the most by these two things. One is the decisions that you make, and two is the people that you choose. Now, the decisions that you make, that's easy. We love that because yet again, we get to put our trust and our faith in us and what we can do, what we can achieve. Is the second part about choosing people where it gets tricky, because, Abe, I've trusted people before, and I've been hurt, I've been disappointed, I've been let down. I'm kind of done with the people thing. I love the world, and my life would be so much easier if people weren't a part of it. I love community. I just hate the people. It is what it is. Why? Because relationships are messy. But here's the truth. We will never live our life to the fullest if we live it alone. And in fact, I present to you this, that if you're able to fulfill your dream and your vision alone, vision is too small, dream is too small. I live in East Village. I'm here, I'm a local. I live like 2 blocks from here. And what that means for me is that every 2 months, there's a new restaurant, there's a new bar, there's a new coffee shop, there's a new retail store. You guys know what I'm talking about? There's always this revolving door going around, and I'm excited for the new. I love the new, but for me, this means something. That there's an old restaurant, an old bar, an old coffee shop, an old retail shop that just shut down. They closed down, and it's over. Now, there's so many reasons why a business, a new vision would shut down. I mean, it could be a vision issue, it could be location, it could be finances. But truth is that fundamentally, the reason why these places were not able to thrive is because someone had faith enough to believe in our community and come and plant themselves here, and they were not reciprocated with the same faith from us. Because we're so used to seeing these revolving doors of new. It's a new coffee shop, it's a new spot. I don't even want to try it because I love safe. I love what I know. I love going to the same place. I'm going to the same spot. And we are so used to people coming in, setting up shop, new thing, old thing, new thing, old thing, that we have developed an over-familiarity with passion. We see people coming in that are passionate and they believe in what they're building, and yet we are so over-familiar. And over-familiarity has this weird power of turning beautiful things invisible. But you see, oftentimes people tell me, well, Abe, that's just how it is. That's just how it is here downtown in San Diego. There's going to be new things happening all the time. That's just how it is. But what if we involved faith into the equation? What if we just put a chance and took a chance on the new guy, on the underdog, and had faith in what they were building? See, faith would hijack our reality. It would take us from a reality in a world of what is to the realm of what if. What if we took a chance on the underdog? What if every time someone had the courage to start a brand new marketing and design and content creation Instagram account, we actually follow them back and we engage with their content and listen to the heartbeat of their creation that they probably spend so much time not just creating but building up the courage to put themselves out there? What if we fuel their passion and their dreams with support and faith from this community? You see, this is what I want to propose to us in Creative Mornings, that in 2019 we will develop a new tradition called faith. Not faith in a higher power. I'm not talking about faith in yourself, because if you did not believe in yourself, you wouldn't be here investing in yourself. I'm talking about faith in community, faith in others, taking a risk, believing and supporting the new guy, believing and supporting somebody else's dream. And you see, because when we see our community through the lens of faith, we are able to see people not just by who they are, but who they can become in the future. And when we see people through the lens of faith, we are able to look at a new creative and a new account and a new entrepreneur and a new business through the eyes of faith, which allows us to see not by who they are now and the way it looks, but we are able to see people and ideas and vision with our eyes closed, because the truth is that what we see when our eyes are closed is far more important than what we see when our eyes are open. And when we see people in community through the eyes of faith, we are able to see the best in them. Because when you see us through faith, we will see that in this room there is an endless well and source of inspiration, collaboration, and creativity. But also when you take a chance and faith in people, I mean, all the other things that come when you enter the human element into anything come about, right? The gossip, the egos, the drama. The worst things in us come up when we come close and we cross the barrier of intimacy and we take a faith chance on people. But let me inspire you in this, that the worst in people can only be changed by the best in people. That we are to cross that line of no return and take a faith chance on others and to have faith in them. And when we see through the eyes of faith, we get to do what only we can do. To see each other through the eyes of faith and possibility, and to understand this reality, that to build our dream community will not be achieved by us simply dreaming and dreaming alone, but by taking action, taking faith in others, and understanding this truth: the life is truly lived better when we do it together. Thank you very much.